Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun with Benzion, Nedarim, Daf Test number 9. The Mishnah, Daf Tet and Aleph, brings two cases. Consider Rishoyim, if you preface your neder by saying, like the Nedarim of Rishoyim, wicked people, it takes effect for a Nazir, for a Korban and Shvuah, not for a neder, right? Neder means it's a neder for a Nazirus. That's the Rishonim explained. It's not it. If you say, Consider Rishoyim neder, right? I'm going to ask her this piece of bread on me, or this piece of the person's nechasam on me. Consider Rishoyim, I can't get enough from the chasim, that doesn't work as a neder. If you talk about a ksherim, a kosher person, it doesn't say tzaddikim. You're a kosher person, so it works for a nazir and a korban. Now, I want to focus on the first line of this Mishnah. I'm going to show you. It's clear from the Gemara. It only is talking about three cases: to accept upon yourself a korban, take a shvuah, or accept a nazirus upon yourself. Why doesn't it work for a neder? Why doesn't it work for neder? And also, secondly, why doesn't it say anything about tzaddikim over here? Why do they call them ksherim? Is everything kosher and a tzaddik? Yes, the answer is yes. There's a big difference. And here I'm going to lay down the foundation for what I believed the basic idea behind Maseches Nedarim is. The idea of Maseches Nedarim is when you take an neder upon yourself, you're adding on to the Torah, right? The 630 mitzvahs. I forbid something else in the Torah. Now, that's really Baal Tosef. Now, Baal Tosef is not a good thing. To add on to the Torah is a terrible thing. People, to take upon yourself Nedarim, to motivate yourself for a mitzvah, we said, might be a good thing. But that's only for a mitzvah, to do a positive commandment. Even when you're becoming more frum and you want to take more things upon yourself, don't ask for things on yourself. Even if you're, like I said yesterday in yesterday's shir, that for Zrizos, the midah of Zrizos, she's talking about Mesilas Yesharim, part of the ladder that you have to climb to reach your shleimus. One of the first steps is Zrizos. So you're allowed to take a neder or a shvul, a Zruzi Nafshe, right? To accept upon yourself mitzvah kiyumis, things that you're not necessarily mechuyo, obligated in the Torah. You want to become from, so you accept upon yourself things which are rishus. You don't have to do, but you want to do them. They have an aspect of mitzvah to them. But it does not say to ask to rid yourself in things, extra things. That is not even allowed for Zrizos over here. And tzaddikim, everyone thinks tzaddikim is the highest thing, the greatest thing. But, if you take a different perspective, and when you read all the Gemaras and it says tzaddikim, right? You say tzaddikim yesh lahem chelek olam haba, or tzaddikim, right? There's no level. Ein adam omer makom tzaddikim omdim, or whatever it says. It says tzaddikim a million times. Tzaddikim is the greatest thing, the greatest madrega to live is to be a tzaddik. But in practical life, when you get to real life and you take life seriously, especially after you're married, you realize that being a tzaddik, and here in Israel, a lot of people derogatorily in stores, if you're from yeshiva bachar or you're a rabbi, they'll call you tzaddik. Tzaddik, hey tzaddik, how you doing? Tzaddik is not a good thing. It's a derogatory comment. It's not good to be a tzaddik, because a tzaddik is a very weak person, usually. They don't ensure that their own needs are met. They're constantly mavatar to other people, and they don't live a fair life. And they're not mekayim b'asisa yasher v'tov. Certainly, they're not yasher. They're not fair people. And what often happens is tzaddikim let other people take advantage of them, and then they are at a loss for money or at a loss for honor, and they take back some honor or some money in an unfair way, because there's no other way to get it. So they take it in an unfair way. And it's also not tov, because tzaddikim believe that, like Christian values, I think most tzaddikim in this world believe, so I'm going to talk about it in the living marriage, the book we're learning about intimacy in marriage, that it's a great thing. Most tzaddikim believe and live their lives that physical benefit is a bad thing. It's a terrible thing. Like Christianity, physical enjoyment is a bad thing. Sexual intercourse is a terrible thing. Like the Shulchan Aruch says. Shulchan Aruch says this. He says you should view intimacy as horei achovo. It's like paying off a debt that you owe to your wife. The Torah says you have to give ona to your wife. It's a debt you have to give to your wife. We should avoid, if you clear from the Shulchan Aruch all over the place, you have to avoid enjoyment of the world. And that's based really in the Zohar. This is where it comes from, because Zohar has somehow made its way into a lot of the words of the Shulchan Aruch. And the Zohar is very clear, because people take the Zohar literally, which is a problem, because the Zohar is only remez, only a hint. You have to, if you want to understand the Zohar, you have to, take it in the context of life and the context of Torah in general, in the whole, and not as independent statements, because Zohar sounds like this world is a terrible place, enjoyment in this world is a terrible thing. But the truth is, enjoying this world is a great thing, and that's the highest form of what Hashem wanted to give us good. Even the Mesilas Yesharim talks about it, that anyone who says, even a one fruit, a type of fruit that he has a desire to taste, and he hasn't tasted it, Asav Litan Esadin, you're gonna have to give judgment up on that. The world is meant for our enjoyment. We're supposed to get enjoyment, and that's the way we get Olam Haba, is to enjoy the world. So, a neder, when you forbid yourself, and that's the thing, and I see this so much in the ultra-Orthodox world, where people are constantly looking, not just taking chumrah because they're unsure of the halacha, they're looking actively for chumras, right? Any shaila in Isra v'Heter and halacha about kashrus, about all the halachas about Yom Tovim, about Shabbos, about brachos, they always go l'chumra without investigating. Usually they don't even ask a rabbi, and if they ask a rabbi, a lot of times the rabbi's very machmir, and just as bishor l'chumra. Although the Torah tells you very clearly that only when it's a daraisa you go l'chumra. Most of these halachas derabanan, safek derabanan, you go l'kula. That's the general guidelines of the Torah. We know that. Yet people refuse to do this. People always take chumras upon themselves. It's a tremendous, and the reason being is because Haredi society, ultra-Orthodox society, says we're different than the rest of the world. We dress differently, we act differently, we have different forms of entertainment, if there is entertainment at all. We have different ways of navigating the world, different education. We're different. So what makes us special? Torah mitzvahs, that makes us special. So how do we become special? In that we take on, we have the chibra of lavluv when it comes to the Dalet meaning. We have this chumrah of muksa over here. We have this chumrah of not opening the refrigerator on Shabbos because the motor might turn on. We search for chumras. I don't do this anymore, but other people search for chumras, and that's Nedarim. Even though you didn't, right? When you take those things on yourself, you don't say neder. That's a neder. That's a neder. That's a vow. And the Gemara says terrible to take Nedarim. This whole Masechta says neder is the worst thing in the world because you're adding on to the Torah. Even if you want to become more firm, you're a Baal Tshuva. Only do extra mitzvos. Don't take extra isurim upon yourself. Chazal say all the time, Hashem made 613 commandments, right? 365 lavim. That's not enough for you? You have to do more? Neder is a bad thing. So that's why the Mishnah says, K'neder Rishoyim, Neder Menazir V'Korban, right? Rishoyim are wicked people. Who are wicked people in this world? People that, a Rasha is someone who enjoys this world maybe too much, doesn't put boundaries on enjoyment. You can't just take everything in the world and get enjoyment from it. There's rules and regulations in this world. You have to be a fair person. But he's not taking a Nedarim for sure. He's a Rasha. He's searching for all the coolest in the book. Tzaddikim are the ones that are taking the Nedarim upon themselves. That's why the Mishnah doesn't mention it, because a tzaddik, it's not good. It's never good to take Nedarim upon yourself. A kosher could take a Nedarim upon himself by a korban and nazirus, like the Gemara explains. If you're a kosher person, I guess a kosher is a decent person, but a tzaddik, he's the one taking Nedar, right? He's the one who's taking Nedar upon himself, and it's a terrible thing. Don't be a tzaddik. It's a really bad thing. If people call you a tzaddik, you should really run to the opposite direction. You're making a big mistake with your life. I'm saying this on air because I truly believe this. I was on the path to be a tzaddik. Maybe was a tzaddik at some point in my life. I realized this is not the way to act. You can't be a tzaddik. You have to be a fair, betov person. Yashar, be a fair person. Don't get taken advantage of. And don't take advantage of other people. I see someone down tzaddikim take advantage of other people. I'm not going to discuss how in particulars. I don't want to mention or allude to any individuals. But, and also tov. Then tov is enjoyment in this world. Ain't tov el Torah. The Torah tells you how to enjoy this world. Don't think it means learning Torah with a candle and olam haba. Hope we enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.